the west coast of Orange County, California. From the Pacific perspective to the Atlantic perspective. From liberal craziness to conservative idealism. From Christianity to atheism belief systems. Welcome to the Gray Zone Roundtable with Rectify and Wingman at Revolution Radio. FreedomSlips.com.
Revolution-radio.com.
What is up, Revolution Radio? This is Rectify. Welcome to the Gray Zone. Happy Tuesday morning, August 5th, 2014. Wingman has joined us this week. Woo woo!
Woo woo! Hello.
We got an official new wing woman also. I think I'm going to make her a permanent here. Angela Black. How you doing, girl?
I'm doing fine, thanks. Thanks for having me. You know, it's a strong man to take me on to their show. So, and hello, Wingman as well. Hello, Rectify. Hello, Wingman.
Hello, Angela.
Thank you, Noreen, for a Wild at Hearts shout out. Always appreciated. Yeah, you guys are all welcome to get in here. This is a round table. 347-688-2902. 347-688-2902, or you can get us at Freedom Screen on Skype. That's FREEDOMSCREEN. Screen like a screen door. Freedom Screen, one word. Or AskJack666. That's another backdoor way in. No, nothing. Yeah, that came out wrong. Anyway, yeah, it's been a crazy week, man. We've got all kinds of disease floating around. We got open borders. We've got
bad water.
World War III. We got bad water up in the Midwest, in the north.
Volcano possibilities, and in Yellowstone.
It's Doomlicious this week.
Doomlicious. I like it.
Very good.
You've got to coin that one. You should make some money now.
Coined. Hey, Wingman, what kind of Doomliciousness is going on in your...
Well, I've been looking at the UK news, and a lot of it's just rubbish, really. The headline papers, I was looking at the headlines the other day, and none of them are reporting on what's happening in Gaza anymore. It's like that's old news for them now, and which is a bit sad, obviously.
Yeah. And
there's not much to report on over here. There is, although I did see something quite funny the other day. Russell Brand, was having a little bit of a bash at Kendall man, whose name escapes me, but Fox News, Sean Hannity, that's it, Sean Hannity on Fox News.
Oh, that douchebag, yeah.
Yeah, oh, what a douchebag. Sean Hannity was having a dig at him because Russell Brand dared to call him a Kendall or something, and he got quite nasty. There was a lot of character assassination, and just damn right.
Do you think any of that's real anymore, or it's all just scripted?
Well, from
go ahead.
I was going to say, from Sean Hannity's point of view, I mean, it's obvious they're pro-Israel. It's because some of the things that he was saying were actually quite mentally, you'd expect from a mentally ill individual. I mean,
no logic, just throw yourself right.
No logic. And I think even one of his comments was, well, what's happening, is happening in Gaza is just about right in terms of, what they're doing, what the Israeli troops are doing. He goes, yeah, it's just about right. It's the correct response to Hamas,
We've been joined by Mr. Wally. How you doing, sir? Sorry about that. Go ahead, Wingman. Get to Wally in a minute.
Yeah, and so basically his response was very, very strange, very kind of, there was no real reporting, and even whilst he was reporting, we're talking about Gaza, and he had a panel to the right of him, two of which were just going along with it, one of which did actually have something to say, and is Jewish himself, which was quite interesting. But it was like more like an entertainment thing going on with him. It was like he was trying to be funny, and news. Yeah, okay, the news can be entertaining. Cat stuck in a tree and that kind of thing can be entertaining at times. But it's serious stuff. When you're talking about something like what's happening in Gaza, it's serious. And
warfare is ugly, no matter what. I mean, even when cats are fighting out in my parking lot, it pisses me off. So. And
the panel and himself were giggling and laughing about it all whilst they were talking about it. It's
what are you doing watching Fox, man?
No, it had Russell Brand on it, so I wanted to see what he was talking about. And basically, Russell Brand was talking about what was happening and coming back to being attacked by Sean Hannity previously. Well, on air, like this was happening on air.
Fun fact of the day: Fox. It's 666. You got F. It's the 6th letter of the alphabet. You've got O, it's the 15th letter, that's 5 and 1, that's 6, and you've got X, that's the 24th letter of the alphabet, that's 2 and 4 is 6. 666 network, and if you look closely, you see the little spotlights, VVV, and if you look in between, like the number 11, we have Fox 11 here in LA, it's another negative of the number 6, right in the middle of those spotlights, and in the middle of that number 11, so fun fact of the day. What's going on, Mr. Wally Lad?
Hey, just
welcome.
Thank you. Angela, nice to see you and hear you. You're beautiful as ever. Wingman, Rectify, thank you for bringing me on.
Yeah, I'm beautiful too.
Long time.
Yes. That's why I Skype you every once in a while, just to make sure you're still there, Angela.
Yeah, I'm actually doing very well. I had a much-needed break, was ill, etc., and I'm now better, so it's all good.
Good. That mountain air is really refreshing, Angela.
Sure, as long as there's not stuff being dropped on me, which is almost impossible, but yeah, sure.
Exactly. I mean, there's stuff dropped on us physically, mentally. I mean, this Ebola, it's another false flag. Nobody in their right mind would bring it to this country, number one. Plus, there's 6 planes missing out of Libya. Still the 17 and the 370. So they're just trying to bombard us mentally to break us down. And it's tough. It's really tough to try to do your daily work, think about all these things, off to the side in your, what do you call that vision off to the side there? Peripheral vision. This is not the country I know. And, I'd love to take it back, but we can't storm D.C. because that belongs to London and
Coca-Cola and Pepsi.
Yeah, and, you got British law, where the only British law effective is in D.C., because that's part of the British. So we can't do anything there, without getting arrested legally.
Arrested? More like shot these days. Well, come on now.
Well, it's a foreign country, so, yeah, you're right, shot. I mean, look at that one lady that just went in to talk to Obama about his baby.
Right.
And she gets killed. The baby survives. Out of 30-some bullets in the car, the baby still survives.
Oh, it was like up close range, right through the window, went right into her head. It was assassination style. Oh, yeah. She was, an upper middle class lady, nice car, dressed nice.
Dental hygienist.
Really polite and intelligent, and, yeah.
Was dental hygienist, was she?
Right.
Yeah. So, we're just getting bombarded, but, I hate to say this, but, we really have to laugh. I mean, in fact, I don't know if you were listening to Noreen's show, but I brought up, there's an app for that now. Bomb Gaza.
I got that good name for an app, Doomalicious.
Yeah, Doomlicious.
Doomlicious. It's just, what people come up with is just unreal. But, yeah.
What's kind of tripping me out is a lot of the symptoms of Ebola match up pretty good with that of radiation poisoning.
Yeah.
So that kind of went through my mind a little bit there, because we're really not given much info on Fukushima anymore at all. As if we ever did, but you know what I'm saying.
Oh, exactly. In fact, now that you bring that up, Rectify, looking at those bumps that I've seen on the pictures, the pictures of the arm with the bumps and the hemorrhaged veins, that's kind of like radiation burns.
Right.
So
that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's just another layer of the onion to cover up what's really going on, because there's nothing anybody can do about it.
No.
Distraction is the only thing they can do.
Yeah, and we're catching on, so they're laying it on heavy now. You know, what are they going to do with these 6 planes that are missing from Libya? What's going to happen there? You know, are they going to run them into somebody's building somewhere in the world?
Yeah, right.
You know, we know those were hologram projections, so I don't know why they're trying to take planes, because they don't need a plane to do what they did to the World Trade Towers. But, you know...
Well, there's a treatment. I brought this up a while back when we had the H1N1 scare. You know, anything respiratory based.
Oh, SARS, yeah.
Yeah, and SARS.
West Nile.
I've had this theory because I look back at the old, you know, not photographs, but like paintings of, we'll say like the Black Plague or what have you. The body collectors all have a pipe in their mouth. You know, there's these, you know, and it's like, came across the story today. Scientists stumble across the obvious treatment for Ebola. Tobacco. A cocktail of antibodies cooked up in tobacco plants may provide an emergency treatment for Ebola virus, one of the deadliest viruses known, researchers reported Wednesday. This is coming out of, signsofthetimes.net. That's SOTT.net. The treatment provides 100% protection to monkeys when given right after exposure. So 100% protection to monkeys if you give them a smoke right after they're exposed to Ebola, okay? But it also helps even after symptoms develop, the researchers report in the journal Science Translational Medicine. Ebola first appeared in 1976, so a year before I was born. And causes an especially frightening and deadly form of hemorrhagic fever. So I guess that's what you're saying. You start bleeding out of everything.
Every hole.
Patients die of shock, but may bleed internally and externally. Depending on the strain, it kills between 25 and 90% of patients. There is no existing treatment and no vaccine. It is horrifying, says Gene Ollinger of the U.S. Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Diseases, who worked on the study. Various strains of the virus pop up unpredictably across Africa, perhaps as people venture into forests. Yeah, blame nature. To hunt wild animals, especially monkeys and apes, known as bushmeat. Wow. You guys want a bushmeat burger? The virus infects apes and monkeys and infects people who are exposed to bodily fluids, such as blood. So they're not even well done. These are rare bushmeat burgers. That's why they're getting screwed up over there. Scientists are working on a variety of approaches to treat the virus and also to make a vaccine. Speaking of, I read another article saying that they've got a vaccine on its way to be tested on humans as soon as September. That's another story. The latest possible treatment comes from the vaccine work. We were developing a vaccine, and the vaccine was tested on mice, and mice were used to make the monoclonal antibodies to understand how they protected from disease. Antibodies are immune system proteins that recognize and attack evaders such as bacteria and viruses. Monoclonal antibodies are engineered to recognize a specific pathogen, in this case a strain of Ebola. The team chose 3, okay, blah, blah, blah. Let's see here. In this latest test, 43% of monkeys recovered and survived when treated as long as 5 days after they were infected, even after they started showing symptoms. And this is after they were given tobacco. So, smoke. If you got them, smoke them.
I can't. But
yeah, you're allergic. That's different.
I know. It's so trippy. That's good, then. It's a habit I never had, you know.
Well, yeah, you
anyway.
look at all these paintings, you're like, I'm an analyst, so I'm like, why do they all have a pipe in their mouth and they're still alive? All these dead bodies around them. Oh!
Yeah. Just like this 33-year-old doctor they brought into Atlanta, he walked out of the ambulance. Number one, it was the wrong suit if he had Ebola. Even the guy that was holding his hand and walking him, like, walk this way, like he couldn't see out of that suit. You know, the ambulance wasn't quarantined. There wasn't a tunnel. Yeah, you know, that was all done for journalism, I think, you know, the sensation. Oh, the plane's landing. He's getting off the plane. He's getting into the ambulance. Oh, he's getting out of the ambulance and he's walking into the hospital.
All of a sudden you have millions of people starting to itch all over the place and trip out.
I mean, this wasn't even a Hollywood production, which it should have been. I don't understand that. You know, did they leave the director back at the airport or somewhere? You know, Hollywood seems to be producing a lot of this stuff right now for the government and trying to scare us, and they're very good at it.
Maybe Dustin Hoffman wasn't available.
Exactly.
Well, you know that.
Available.
You know, the book, The Hot Zone, and the movie, I don't remember what the name. I think the movie was The Hot Zone also, wasn't it? With Dustin Hoffman and...
Outbreak was one.
Outbreak was the movie. This is nothing compared to what... and that was pretty true of both the book and the movie. It was pretty spot on. But this is just totally, like you said, Rectify. It's almost like it's radiation burns.
Mm-hmm.
Radiation exposure.
I think Outbreak was quite a realistic scenario, actually.
Yeah,
and it's a scenario that I've been presenting as very feasible in terms of introducing martial law and this business of quarantining the city. You know, having military men on the bridges going into a city, that kind of scenario.
Yeah, it could happen really, really, really fast.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, again, they're trying to play upon our fear of that, but nonetheless, it's still a possibility. I don't want to live in fear, and if it happens, it's going to happen. But nonetheless, yeah, I think that's a feasible, possibility as well, if indeed the idea that they're selling us is correct. I mean, 100 healthcare workers were infected in Africa. 2 of them, shipped to or flown to Atlanta, et cetera, and that nothing was working with these suits in Africa, et cetera, that they were completely covered in airtight, hazmat and rubber boots and hazmat suits, et cetera. And, if indeed it can penetrate through things, then yeah, bam, we're done. But if not, that's great. It was just another thing. If I may, I just wanted to bring up this particular blog by John Rappaport. Great writer, yeah. It's just, I'll just touch upon a few things, but it's called Ebola, Covert Op in a Hypnotized World. And, basically it says you show people a germ and you tell them what it is and what it does, and people salute. They give in, they believe, They actually know nothing, but they believe. The massive campaign to make people believe that the Ebola virus can attack at any moment after the slightest contact is quite a success. People are falling all over themselves to raise the level of hysteria. This is what is preventing a hard look at Liberia, Sierra Leone, is that how you say it, or Leone? And then the Republic Guinea, 3 African nations where poverty and illness are staples of everyday life for the overwhelming number of people. And then, of course, you were talking about some other things as well. And I think a friend of mine was talking today on Facebook about water supplies, the algae bloom in Lake Erie, et cetera. A lot of different things that are, being covered up and fear-mongering happening. So anyway, it says don't clean up the contaminated water supplies. Don't return the stolen land to the people so that they can grow food and finally achieve nutritional health. Don't solve overcrowding. Don't install basic sanitation. Don't strengthen their immune systems so they can ward off germs. Don't let the people have power, because then they would throw off the local and global corporate juggernauts that are sucking the land of all its resources. And they're talking, I believe, right here about Africa itself, these 3 nations at least in particular. In order not to solve the problems of the people, a cover story is necessary. A cover story that exonerates the power structure. A cover story like a germ. And it does go on. But I don't know if you guys.
So it's like Hollywood and the MSM now. They got a pill for that too. They're using their own placebo effect, but it's negative.
Yeah, they got.
I'll tell you, and you'll start itching. You're like, I got it. I got this.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, Rectify. The itching, I don't know about that, but when you start bleeding out of your nose, your eyes, your ears, your rectum, your penis, it's over with. It's over with. Within 10 days, less than 10 days, you're dead.
I'm a miracle then.
Well, I mean, if you contract Ebola, and the chances of people in this country contracting Ebola is like getting struck by lightning. Oh, of course, that's happening now, isn't it?
Oh, there's video of a guy that's got hit like 2 or 3 times on the same frame.
I should have said winning the lottery.
Right. Now that's set up right there. I mean, it's always some illegal immigrant family that gets the winnings, and it's like, I'm wondering what they're trying to cover up. It's like, I always think it's buddy with the lotto. It's, they know who they're going to give the winnings to. It's probably someone they're trying to shut up, or, it probably goes into like protective custody type of funds or something like that. I don't think it actually goes to normal people that buy those tickets. It's too easy to manipulate, the whole lottery system with just a simple computer program. so you can make it that nobody wins except the one you want.
Yeah, and the American public can pay for it by just $1 each,
The poor tax.
Yeah. Did you say the school tax? Is that what you said?
No, the poor tax. That's what
the poor
tax
tax.
is. Yeah.
Oh.
They're going to screw you even more.
Hey, talking of unlucky being struck by lightning and things like that, you guys heard of a guy called Frano Selic?
I know a Tom Selic.
Okay, this is, I think he was a Croatian man, that's it, who has had the strangest life in terms of being the luckiest, unlucky individual. He kind of had all these instances. I think one of them was, first one was he fell out of a plane. Something happened.
Yeah.
The plane went down. The plane door blew off. He came out of the plane. Everyone died in it, and he fell in a haystack.
What's his name?
Selic, Frano Selic, something like that.
Frano Selic. Okay, go on.
There was another one where his bus went off the bridge or something, and he survived that, and everyone else in that died. Went into a riverbank. He had a car crash where he came off the road and he fell out of the window and managed to hold on to this tree on the side of a cliff or something. That was another one. There was his car caught on fire once and the engine blew. He got out just in time.
This is all the same man.
Yep.
Yeah, his brakes.
Oh
I think one time fuel pump spewed petrol over the engine of his car and that blew up, and he just escaped being burnt in that one. He was
what's he do for a living?
knocked down by a bus, and he survived that.
He's an insurance scam artist.
I mean, the strangest of scenarios, right? Obviously, falling out of a plane in a haystack is pretty profound, and the train thing, and all this happening, and then, right, in about 1998 or something like that, I can't remember what year, he buys his first ever lottery ticket, okay, and he wins it.
Wow.
And he dies the next day, just like
no.
the song goes.
Yeah, he probably doesn't leave his house now. But isn't that strange? I mean, it's like, it reminds me of that film. What's the Final Destination, is it, or something like that?
Oh,
Is that,
yeah, that's
that series, right? So it's like, there's no doubt about it that death was coming for him. I mean, all those scenarios. And then buying the lottery, it's like death gave up on him. He was hunting him down with his scythe, and he just gave up. He says,
God bless that guy. Jeez.
And he wins the lottery first time. I mean, that's it. That's just like too coincidental.
Can you imagine how that guy could sleep at night? I mean, that guy probably has his eyes wired open, constantly watching his back everywhere.
I don't think so. He knows he's so protected. Why would he even worry about it? I mean, it's almost like he talks to his angels or his protectors.
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe he's lacking faith, and that's constantly his test to get his ass to have some faith.
He's a music teacher, or he was. Yeah, so that's his profession.
He was probably tuning to 432 instead of 440, so they're getting on him.
Let's see. He sold his luxury home on a private island. He's given away his fortune to family and friends and moved back to his modest home in Petrinja, which is south of Zagreb in the center of the country, which is, God knows, Croatia. Right.
Croatia, yeah. Croatia.
Wow.
So, yeah, I thought when you mentioned lightning strikes, and so that's kind of like reminds me of that.
Oh, that's cool. This article came out in 2010, yeah.
We had a great thunderstorm here the other day. It was beautiful. I went out watching the thunder hitting the sea and stuff. And I was part of me was urging a lightning fault to come like within a few meters or something, but then I wouldn't know how I'd react, has anyone had a lightning bolt hit them very close or, very close to them?
I've seen one, but it's never hit me.
I made man-made ones with my Tesla coil.
But I mean close up, like.
Oh, I connect to it. Yeah, I let it run through my body. No, a real one. Yeah. They're loud. Maybe 50 yards away. Hit the asphalt, the road, and it was so freaking loud.
We
not just that, it leaves a big ring in the asphalt to where it melts all the tar, and all you see is the gravel and the rocks. It's like, it's pretty crazy, man. It's pretty loud.
I saw it burn grass. I've seen burnt grass, and I saw it strike, etc. But it didn't get me. There's a joke, where if you count, per second, after you see the lightning bolt, and then when you hear the thunder, that's supposedly how many miles away it is. But the joke is that if it's right on top of you, that you don't hear anything at all. That's because you're dead.
I had the strangest experience once. I was in a kind of REM state and dreaming about something, and this dream was building up to something, and when it built up to this something, at that very moment, I heard a thunder strike. And there hadn't been any previous thunder strikes. It was like the first thunder strike of the storm, so to be audible. And its timing was so coincidentally perfect in that moment, it really made me wonder as to the nature of things, It was very strange. Very strange. But, things like, I don't even really understand the elements that well, I'm convinced there's levels of intelligence that exist at an elemental level that we're still unable to understand, or the true nature of, in terms of I think there's intelligence out there. I don't know, but that experience made me think it was just too much of a coincidence. It made me think that even something like a storm has a kind of consciousness of sorts, very strange. And I could go into it, but I have had experience, even direct experience of that kind of thing being the case.
People are too stupid, though. If I was an intelligent, well, I am intelligent. If I was an alien that was intelligent, I really wouldn't want to waste any time on most people. I mean, here's a story out of Yahoo. Malia Obama kicked an American citizen at Lollapalooza. And not only did the Secret Service fail to act, the kicked victim was happy about it. Bridget Trusky was minding her own business at the music festival when the president's daughter kicked her. Quote, "It was awesome," Trusky tweeted, apparently dangerously unable to see past the stars in her eyes. "I got accidentally kicked by Malia Obama today at Lollapalooza. No lie, Malia Obama. It was awesome." And that was her tweet. Twitters.
One of the things that makes me retch is how people act in the presence of famous people a lot of the time. And I must admit, it's even worse. Americans are even worse at this. The English are quite reserved when it comes to being in the presence of someone famous. But the Americans, they're a little bit brown nosy, a little bit creepy in terms of...
No, that's why I have famous friends, just because I treat them normal. They can't stand people that frickin' just go into that zombie mode, drooling over them, and like it's.
And again,
just,
you're in SoCal, if you're in New York or LA-ish, that's one thing. A lot of the country, though, does go completely nuts over, a celebrity if they see them in a remote area, etc. We're kind of trained to see them.
I saw a recent clip of Obama walking through the park, just ordinary with his security member inside, saying hello to people. And I guarantee you, there would have been individuals there. Then everyone freaked out. Oh my God, all really kind of creepy and crawly and, towards him. And I guarantee some of them would have, bad-mouthed him previously. But when they saw him in the flesh, they're like all suddenly, oh, hello, all nicey. But no one said a bad word against him, which is a brilliant opportunity to say, you suck. Do you realise that kind of thing,
Throw a shoe at him like a Bush. Throw a shoe at him.
No one said what an awful job he was doing. Everyone was like lovely to him, which was sad.
Yes, we can. Thank you, Satan. Yes, we can.
It was sad. It was sad to see, and it was a little bit. I was retching.
Well, Twitterers are one step below tweakers.
What about a tweaking Twitterer? What about a tweaking tweeter?
Oh, God, get me out of this place.
I like that word, tweaking.
Yeah, methamphetamine is bad, ladies and gentlemen. Stay far away from it. And then tweeting, that's the second worst.
So anything else? Any other do malicious news?
Yeah.
What about the algae bloom in Lake Erie? And basically, there's people in Toledo, Ohio that can't drink or use the tap water. It's not potable. It's impotable, as they say.
Is it
and it's all coming from this
chance, like China?
No, it's green. It's super green. Super duper green. And apparently this thing has been growing for quite a while. It's been growing for years, and it's getting worse every year. So all I know is that there are some, different cities and, urban areas and also probably suburbs, et cetera, on this river.
You want to know what that is, Angela?
Yeah, Toledo, Ohio.
Yeah, no, you're in the green stuff. Ectoplasm, mate.
Slimer! Call the Ghostbusters! I'll bring the flux capacitor and we can go back to the past after.
I'll call Bill Murray.
Right on. He'll make it look funny.
The evil is getting so, it's getting so bad now that it's affecting the water system in terms of ectoplasm. That's how bad it is.
Wally, you were going to say something?
Copper sulfate usually works very good at taking care of algae.
Copper sulfate?
They used to spray the lakes.
People should just go throw their pennies into the lake.
Well, they used to spray the lakes with copper sulfate to keep the algae blooms down, but they really should be looking at harvesting those algae blooms because that's a good source of fuel. It's better than corn. Yeah.
Wow.
They ought to look at it as a good thing and harvest it if they have such a bloom over there, and it's usually warmer waters cause it. Of course, I think the icebergs have left Lake Superior. I am not sure yet. I have not seen anything in the last week. The last picture I seen, Lake Superior, bikinis and icebergs floating by.
Wow.
Girls laying on the beach in bikinis and icebergs floating by. And that was about a week and a half ago on Lake Superior, still icebergs. So I think they have left now. I'm not sure though. That is quite something down there in Ohio. They're trying to, but there again, Nestle's making a big move again too. They want people to pay for their water. So, and they're the biggest. In fact, they rob a lot of water out of Michigan. I say rob because that's what they're doing, millions of gallons a day.
Oh yeah, they send it to China.
Exactly. And, next China's going to bring their processing ships that process bottled water right into the Great Lakes. I see that happening real shortly here.
Well, and pretty soon, you never know. I mean, if we're going to go ahead and take leaps into movie land, what about Waterworld? I mean, pretty soon, everybody's just going to have to drink their own recycled urine. It's not funny, but I mean, it's, I'm just saying, it could get really extreme.
That was an evil laugh. That was a villain, a Bond villain laugh, Angela.
Well, I just heard myself speaking, and I'm like, wow, listen to what I'm saying. What's coming out of my mouth right now? It's definitely.
Would you rather have a Waterworld scenario or say like a Tom Hanks scenario with Wilson?
Oh wow, definitely wow. I don't know. I think with my personality, probably Waterworld. And plus, I get to. Yeah, I don't want to be alone with a soccer ball.
I think it was volleyball, but yeah, it was Wilson.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, it wasn't volleyball. You're right.
We don't need Angela. We don't need a volleyball. We could just put a little face on what's. And we don't have to worry about them floating away. Wilson.
That was sad. It's like, wow, the human connection. It's like, you got to feel bad for all these people in prisons that are in solitary confinement.
My gosh.
Just imagine just a week in solitary. And humans need other human contact. It's just part of our psyche. We need it. Otherwise, we'd go nuts.
Or something to read or something to draw. If you're in there just completely, better get your push-ups on. Seriously, start doing push-ups, sit-ups, and, and try to clear your mind. That, to me, would drive me banana. You know what I mean? I'd go nuts.
I actually watched the film last night about an individual in the prison system, and it reminded me just how awful we are and how we treat prisoners. Now, a lot of people are very callous in terms of, criminals, lock them up, throw away the key kind of thing. But a lot of these crimes, a lot of criminals in prison are basically, are there as a result of really poor circumstances, really dire circumstances that has built up to them resorting to probably one of the few choices available, which was crime at the time. A lot of them have a poor background, violent, parents perhaps, hardship, hanging around with the wrong people. So a lot of the people that are there are actually there as a result of society's ills. And rather than try and rehabilitate them, we just put them in this tiny little room with nothing around them, nothing to aspire to, nothing to help them mend their ways. And it's quite the opposite. If anything, if you go into prison, you come out even more, with more hatred towards the system, with more hatred towards others, with more hatred towards the world and what it's done to you, And so how is that in any way rehabilitating an individual? And to be honest, I think it's, there are obviously crimes where you would want to throw away the key and don't give a darn about the individual because the crime they've committed is so atrocious. But for the most part, we're talking about victims of society's faults, and it's like sweeping all these problems under the carpet. But these are real people we're talking about with real feelings, And I think it's disgusting. I think the prison system needs to be readdressed. The whole thing needs to be readdressed. The individuals trained up so that when they come out, they have a trade of some sort, and so on and so forth. It's like, it's infuriating, and it saddens me so much. There was a 16-year-old that I heard about the other day in the States who was in solitary confinement for over 6 months. Things like that.
A 16-year-old? Wow.
And there's another.
You guys heard about that? Oh, go ahead.
There's another individual who was in solitary confinement for a coloured gentleman who was accused of, I think it was to do with a police officer that died, but it wasn't, absolutely sure that this guy did. It was a couple of them. And he was in solitary confinement for, I think, 40 years.
What?
It was something crazy like that, yeah.
Wow.
I should find his name somewhere. I'll look up his name, but it was like, what? And they showed the cell he was in, and I don't know how he's still sane in any way, I really don't. Sorry, go ahead, Rectify.
Oh yeah, you guys hear about the botched lethal injection execution of an Oklahoma inmate?
When was that?
Yeah.
It was
like a month ago or something?
April 29th, May 1st-ish.
Right.
Basically, this guy, they're using a new 3-mixture drug. It's a new cocktail, to kill someone. And it's supposed to only take, like a minute, right, after they put the IV in. Well, this guy sat there suffering in torment and pain because a vein apparently broke in his body, and they're still delivering the medicine for 43 minutes. He sat there mumbling in pain, and finally his heart gave out and had a heart attack. So the drug didn't even do what it was supposed to do, and they sat there and watched him be tortured for almost an hour straight.
That is some sick you-know-what.
Yeah, that's Oklahoma. Texas is a big believer of the death penalty also. I know that. And I think the only one left in the country, the only state where you have a choice of death by firing squad is Utah. And that's probably the way I would choose. I don't like the electricity route. I don't like the lethal injection route. I think I would definitely go with firing squad if I had a choice.
Wow.
But yeah. Well, I heard the reason for that new drug was because one of the European countries that was providing America with these lethal injections has withdrawn the sale of it. So that's why they had to resort to a new formula.
The guy's name was Clayton Lockett.
Yeah, Clayton Lockett. Yep.
Wow.
Lethal injection. I don't think anybody's got the actual... I don't care how big I don't care if you have a jury or whatever. Nobody's got a right to say you deserve to die. I mean, even if someone took that upon themselves to kill someone else, I don't know, man. Just lock them up forever. Put them into hard labor or something. Maybe cut off a few fingers. But
oh yeah, that's nice.
well, killing someone, that's the karma. There's still the karma you're gonna have to deal with to make that decision because you're playing God at that point.
Well,
yeah.
look at years back what the Queen did with Australia, and look what Australia has become. And these were all criminals over there, other than the Aborigines. But
yeah.
I mean, you talk about rehabilitation, or were these really criminals? They were criminals against the government, not, you know,
Right.
I don't think it was criminals against the people. But look what Australia's turned into.
And what is it that Australia's turned into, in your opinion?
That's what I was going to say.
Well, you know, from a penal colony to, you know, being a country that is well respected.
Anybody want to get on the air from the penal colony? Give us a call, 347-688-2902.
Used to be penal colony. Now it's Australia. And, you know, it's just, yeah, that was supposedly torture, and look what's happened.
I don't know. I've talked to people that live there, and I've been told that they swear to God that criminality is still embedded in the DNA of most people there in Australia. Like, it switches on, and they get crazy down there.
Everybody I know from there seems really nice. I don't see any, you know, Big John, Helena, John Shea, you know.
David Dunger.
I mean, I don't see any criminal.
Well, actually, one of those people that you just mentioned is the one that told me this fun factoid, so I'll leave it at that.
Oh, I know which one it was. Yeah, I seen him on online, and all of a sudden he wasn't online, but I do need to get a hold of him too. But yeah, it's just I want to get on your program. I got things I got to do tomorrow, and it's going on 3 a.m. here. But
all right, Wally. Well, thanks for the call, man. You're always welcome.
Rectify, Angela, Wingman. It's always a pleasure.
Nice to see you, Wally.
Be safe, eyes open, as Dabu7 says. We know we're getting zapped, so.
Especially on a Tuesday. Keep your eyes to the skies.
Exactly. See you later, guys.
All right, bud. Have a good one.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, check us out at freedomslips.com. We're in the chat room. There's about 50 of us in there right now. That's 50, as in, woo, cops. But, yeah. How's the military cops in your land over there, Wingman? Are they carrying around rifles and full body armor yet?
Well, I realised it took a turn when I went to one of these protests once. What was the nature of the protest? Who knows? It was a good excuse to go to a protest. And anyway, there was, very oddly, I came across 3 police officers that were stood outside a Vodafone shop, obviously protecting the interests of Vodafone. For some reason, I don't know why they were outside Vodafone, but it was kind of strange. In fact, I saw them dotted around several corporations. Maybe it was corporations that are paying more backhanders than others, I don't know. But anyway, the interesting thing was that they had their faces covered up. And I was like, you serious? You covering up your faces so we can't identify you next, you know? And that was quite shocking to see.
They learned that
from
the Nuremberg trials. Yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
that was like...
We can't be, you know, caught like they got SS soldiers back in the day. We gotta cover our faces.
But it was one of the first Occupy things that we had over there. That's what it was. Actually, I was. It's quite interesting because I was at St. Paul's Cathedral, and we were on the top of the steps, and there's like all these pillars at the top of these steps, and for some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason the chief of the superintendent or the guy in charge of the police there came up to me because I think I was showing an air of authority at the time, but no one was really in charge. So he came up to me and he goes, you know, do you mind if we just station our police at the top there so no damage is done to the property? Obviously an excuse. I was like, yeah, no, it's not happening. You know, I was like, I know you're trying to outflank us there. You know, that would be a tactical move, and it's not happening. So anyway, they tried it on, and at one point, I was stopping about 10 police officers from squeezing through this pillar on the far right. And someone actually videotaped me. If you got me with my shoulders wedged in against this pillar, trying to stop these officers from coming through. It was quite entertaining. But yeah. I mean, they're nowhere near. You know, they do have tasers now, which is very unfortunate. Because if anyone's got one of those electronic fly swatters, you realise that you're quite keen to use them and test them out. I bought one the other day. You know, one of these zappers. Yeah. And you know, every time I go for the fly and trying to zap it, it gets out the window. It's like suddenly it realises where the window is and then it flies out, so I haven't got a chance to use it. But the thing is with tasers, the thing is with tasers, if you've got one, you know, psychologically, you're going to want to use it at some point, and that's the problem, you know.
Oh, yeah. When I was a kid, we used to make our own. We'd take apart, you know, power transformers, and take out the diode and wire them up to a relay, and I did all kinds of crazy stuff. Throw a couple batteries on it. Everybody would sit in a circle and hold hands, you know, and on each end of the circle, one would touch a different contact of the output, and you just flick the switch real quick, and everybody in the circle would go, ah! But I used to take it to school with me. I'd put 2 wires on it, and the person sitting in front of me, if I didn't like them, I'd stick the 2 wires, one into each of their socks, just, you know, real quietly and slowly. And then I'd flip the switch, and guess where that shock goes if you're a man?
I had an idea for the evolution of protest, by the way. Because often in protests, you're just shouting at the police and they're in the way kind of thing. But to get the police out of the way of wherever it is you want to go, which is normally in circles, then I've come up with the idea of this inflatable, you know, these big inflatable things that you walk on. You sit inside them and you can walk in them.
The ones you'd like the jump rooms type of deal?
Well, it's like they're big inflatable, like, you know, just a bit taller than the individual. You get inside them and they're fully inflated and you just walk towards the police with them. What can they do? They can't hit you with a baton. He won't do anything. Like
a bubble boy?
Bubble? Exactly. So if you get a few of those...
It's a bulletproof bubble?
Oh, yeah, they got guns over
there.
Oh, yeah, they got guns.
Well, another thing, like, to avoid a taser, you can, you know, lace some... How about chainmail? Let's get back to the old school protection.
How about flour? Why does anyone throw flour at police? It makes them look ridiculous.
Flour.
Seriously, just throw flour. Okay, if anyone's out there, next protest you go to, throw a bag of flour at the police. It makes them look stupid and it's great for the news.
Might as well throw an egg in first, man, you know?
Nah, forget the eggs.
A little sugar, a little butter.
That's retro.
A cupcake?
Yeah, tomato ketchup. If you got one of those squeezy bottles of mustard and ketchup, just squirt that. They don't like it.
That would be considered assault, I think, or battery. I think that would be considered battery.
Battery by
assault and battery. Yeah, by mustard and ketchup. Yeah, I think so.
Hold on. My defense would be the ketchup has done nothing to harm anyone, officer.
Yeah, but who's to say that there's not some type of, how about Ebola virus inside the ketchup?
It could have been a terroristic bomb too, you know.
Yeah.
Although if it's GMO tomatoes, that could be deemed threatening.
Yeah,
there you go.
Well, pretty much all of it is, and because it's got high fructose corn syrup anyway, you know. So and that's GMO. You know,
right,
so there you go.
Breaking news from 6 minutes ago: the IDF to implement a 72-hour ceasefire from defensive lines outside of Gazma. Spokesman tweets. Yeah, the last one lasted about 2 hours. We'll see if this gets anywhere of peace. We'll be right back. Everybody stick around. The Gray Zone.
and we'll be right back after this message.
Who owns you? If you're not in control, then someone else is. Join me, Ivy West, for Voices on the Wind, Saturday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern in Studio A. I discuss government, health, metaphysics, suppressed science, universal mysteries, little-known incredible facts, alternative energies, and even more than you can imagine. Won't you join us on Revolution Radio Saturdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern for Voices on the Wind with me, Ivy West.
There are lives in the balance, people under fire, children at the cannons.
Because if your head's in the sand, your tail is a target.
Hi everybody, it's me, the Fetch, host of Inside the Eye Live. Before the Sunday mainstream media political pundit talk shows, there is Inside the Eye Live, where we break down some of the weekly mainstream media talking points before the talking points even get aired. Add in some entertaining stories, weather, cats, intriguing and informative guests, and you get one of the most listened to Saturday morning streaming media political talk shows going today. And it's all right here on our flagship station, Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. So join me, the Fetch, for Inside the Eye Live every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern. It is truly intelligent media for the politically aware.
I have worked with the CIA, NSA, Templars, and Bilderbergers. Now I work for you. My show will disclose secrets, science, and esoteric knowledge. Join me, Stephen D. Kelly, for 2 hours every Thursday night at 10 o'clock Eastern Time on freedomslips.com, Revolution Radio, Studio A. You can also listen to previous shows by going to youtube.com/Free Revolution Radio.
Anti-aircraft guns went into action against unidentified aircraft in the Los Angeles area shortly after 3 a.m. Pacific wartime this morning.
We are far stronger than we were 10 weeks ago.
General quarters, all hands man your battle stations.
Be nervous, don't you, told. I'll do the mastermind around here.
You have not seen it, do not know what hell looks like from the top.
Well, check it out every Tuesday and Saturday on Revolution Radio. It's a double dose of the internationally recognized renegade military historian Douglas Dietrich.
You'll stay right where you are till I tell you to move out.
Yeah, that's right. Tuesdays from 10 to midnight Eastern Time. Join Douglas Dietrich as he exposes the truth in hidden history on his show Critical Omissions. And then our human weapon of mass destruction is back once again to take your calls on Saturday Night Firing Lines. Both from 10 to 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Only on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. a Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard. Forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs to government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. Revolution Radio. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Zone Roundtable, Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. 100% listener-supported radio. No corporate ties, corporate duct tape dictating our freedom of speech. It shall remain that way as long as we are supported by you. Join us, 347-688-2902. Enter the Gray Zone.
Hello and welcome back to the Grey Zone Roundtable at freedomslips.com. We have with us Angela Black, Rectify, and myself. As you know, we're listener supported, so head on over to the site if you can, give us a few dollars and keep us going, because otherwise everything chugs to a halt if we don't have some money. And back to the topic at hand, which was, what was the last thing? What were we talking about, guys? Can't remember.
We were talking about the cops and how to protect ourselves from their abuse, basically. Like, what can we do?
Oh yes, the evolution of protest. That's flower is an evolution process. What are you saying, Angela?
I'm going to pull this back up. In Norway, apparently, they have really upped their military police, if you will, or their, he's my friend, David Black, who's joined us on a few shows, or at least myself, on a few of my shows, is a great commentator. Is that good? Commentator, all of the different taters. Anyway, I'm trying to find it. I'm sitting here dancing around while I'm looking for this. But basically, Norway, because of some type of terrorist attack, has really, really beefed up their military or the militarized police. And you were asking earlier, Rectify, if Wingman had seen any full body geared, body armored police around. And I guess it's happening in Norway.
It was in Norway, the place where, like, there was a camp out with a bunch of kids on, like, a small island, and some crazy guy rode up with a bunch of guns, dressed totally in body armor, and just started capping off on all these kids. I know it was somewhere over there in the Nordic region. I'm not sure if it was Sweden or Norway.
Interesting. I don't know that.
I think that's what triggered it, of what you're talking about. That would make perfect sense, because that event was huge for that part of the world.
Yeah. Well, and then interestingly, when we were talking about prisons just a little bit ago, I had looked up that particular prison that seems like it's like a vacation stay, and that's in Norway too, which is very interesting. I think I posted that in our chat. Let me check it. Hold on. Yeah, I think it's right here. But yeah, so both, the other one is a video. It's a YouTube video, so I'll post it in our chat, and I'll post it in the Revolution Radio chat as well. But yeah, this is the one that I was talking about. So interestingly, Norway's always a hotbed for different things. And this one came out, this article came out in 2010, and it's Norway's Halland prison. It looks more like a holiday resort. And I remember seeing something about this where, basically everybody's just on a really nice, serene little, area. It's a pine forest. And
it's actual rehabilitation, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So interesting. And then here on the other side of the coin, we've got, militarized police and that type of thing. And there's there's also a big Nazi population, believe it or not, in Norway, and it's very interesting. It's actually quite violent, and a lot of youths are really, I don't know if they realize what they're doing because they're young, but they terrorize a lot of different people, etc. It's very interesting. Norway, who'd have thought,
Well, yeah, they have a lot of the European countries have a group called Fatima, or what is it called? I believe it's Fatima. Antifa. Excuse me, I'm thinking of what happened down there in South America back in the day. But yeah, it's Antifa. It's anti-fascists. And this group, Antifa, a lot of the propagandists out there will label them Nazis, as they do with certain freedom-fighting groups here in the States, They'll just demonize the hell out of them. But yeah, anti-fascists, Antifa. It's a big, big group in Europe. Have you ever heard of that, Wingman? Antifa?
I've heard of Fatima. I've not Antifa now.
Yeah, check out Antifa. It just stands for anti-fascism, and it's pretty big. It's like the KKK, I guess, comparatively as far as support size, as far as the people that are involved, the numbers. But there's every group that fights for the right against the powers that be. They always get demonized. That's always going to happen. Period.
Yeah, that's not quite what the KKK are doing, but I'm not sure about that.
As far as the numbers go over there's a lot of them. I did do a lot of research on them a few years back. They were big after 9/11. They started growing. And they just didn't put up with cops. There's lots of YouTubes out there you can watch with these guys. They don't screw around. It's not like protesters here in the U.S.
Right.
And which I think is, the thing is, there are ways of dealing with the cops in a protest scenario if people did use their head, but you can avoid that scenario altogether. The thing is with protests is this running around in circles on the streets, it doesn't work because at the end of the day the police will always be there to block one of the roads and you have to go down another road, but there's no point actually being normally in that locality in the first place. So, in terms of for all those protest organisers out there, that aren't on the red list yet, that want to get on the red list, then, just organise something that's, find a space, find an open space, get a platform, some speakers, a microphone, and just get everyone to sit down in that locality and discuss what your next move is. Because that's more productive than running around with plaques, I mean, the plaques still work, but in terms of just walking around in droves where nothing really gets accomplished, and this is why I did see the Occupy movement as an evolution of sorts, because they sat down in one place and discussed things. You had the open mic thing where people, repeated mic check. Well, that actually I saw when how that evolved. It evolved because the police captain seized the megaphone, which he shouldn't have done because it's within their right to use a megaphone, but he seized the megaphone, so they were like, okay, we'll do this then. So that's how that mic check thing works.
We need more pirate radio stations out there, like people that they got a little broadcast station in their own little house, and they might put out just a certain amount of power to get to maybe a couple miles around radius, and maybe start rebroadcasting.
You're talking not about the internet, not on the internet.
No, I'm talking
like
FM or AM. Yeah, rebroadcast us even. I didn't say that, but it's a thought, That's kind of like mic check, but in a more advanced way.
Yeah. But there's other things, there's things the individual can do. If you come across something that's you're being asked to do something that you feel is verging on the ridiculous, don't do it. For example, the other day I went fishing. There was on a kind of pier wall, harbour wall thing, fishing off the wall, and just as I approached the wall, there was two security guard type individuals. I said, "What are you doing here?" They goes, "Oh, we're here to stop kids jumping into the harbour water." I was like, "Really?" Anyway, I left them to it. Anyway, went out, carried on fishing, and there was a guy I saw this guy about in his 20s, and he was jumping off the stairs. There was like some steps going into the harbour, and he was jumping off these steps into the water, going for a little swim, and coming back, jumping into the water, going for a little swim, not causing anyone any harm or anything. And then I saw one of these yellow coat security guards walking up to him, having a few words, and I saw him start to pack his stuff together. This was about 20 meters away. I was watching all this. So I goes up to him. I says, is he trying to, kick you out of here kind of thing? He goes, yeah. I goes, no, just forget it. Ignore him. And the guy was saying, oh, hold on a second. I have the authority to remove you from this locality. I goes, well, you can try and remove it, you can try and remove me if you want, but it ain't happening, I said to the guy, just don't ignore him, just carry on, you're not causing anyone any harm or anything. And I said to the guy, I looked back at the security guy, I said, are you capable of rational thinking? I said, seriously, are you capable of rational thought? And he wouldn't answer me. But he just goes, well, I'm just doing my job. I said, well, I don't have a problem, just do your job. But just don't enforce anything,
Right.
Because he's not caused anyone any harm. He's an adult. He knows what he's doing. And if he does, if he's wanted to risk, any risk that is involved is his own risk. So
even cops have the right to use discernment on whether or not to charge you with a law break. They can always use their own discernment and not have to give you a citation. So I'm just doing my job is a terrible excuse.
Yeah, exactly. So, challenge authority, challenge the court system, dispute fines, appeal fines, slow the system down if it's that line of things. Ask for more information, keep asking for more information, more evidence if it is pertaining to some kind of infringement or fine. Bog them down with work. If they want to try and enforce, get money out of you for something that you feel is unjust, challenge it. It's simple. Don't back down. Don't roll over to ridiculous, totalitarian laws and authority. It's ridiculous. Don't do it. If it's against your moral fibre, if it's challenging, if you feel as though something is not moralistic and it's challenging your moral fibre and it's sometimes even illogical and unreasonable, then challenge it naturally.
Yeah, it's not worth the karma. If you're going to just puss out and just put your head down and go along to get along, you're still going to get your butt kicked by the laws of nature. But we do have 2 callers come in. We have Australian Paul, which I'll let go first. And we've also been joined by the one and only Hijacker. Australian Paul, you were first, and then Jacker. What's going on, guys?
No, let the Jacker go first. I'll be back.
Hijacker, mic check.
Hey, Hijacker.
Hey, gang.
There you are.
How's my audio?
Audio's good, brother. What's going on? Give us the latest.
Oh, well, looks like the Russians have thrown another 10,000 troops on their border. And from what I'm hearing from people inside Russia, you know how the government, always does propaganda before they go to war, like Bush said, yellow cake, and, the smoking gun shouldn't be a smoking mushroom cloud over American city. You know how they prepare the population with the propaganda?
Duct tape,
whatever.
plastic, go shopping, save the economy, yeah.
Right. So the Russian media has been doing that to the people. And so for the real big thinkers over there, they're saying that this Russian government's getting closer to deciding whether they're going to go into the Ukraine or not. But looks like they are building. So now I'm hoping for a peace march. If the patriarchs of the Russian Orthodox Church, if they get together and ask all their people, they could probably assemble at least 1.5 million, easy. And do the great peace march, summer peace march from Moscow to Kiev. It's about a 400-mile march, I'm sure the Russian government would back them on that. But, can you imagine, the priests and the prophets and the patriarchs coming across the border, followed by, 1 million people, all not armed, peace march, give the Kiev an economic boost, like one big vacation in Kiev. What do you do against that? How do you fight? What is the president of Ukraine going to do with that? They'll use artillery on those people? It's over. It's over. They're going to come to a political solution. Deals will be made as those people walk towards Kiev.
I keep seeing a bunch of preachers and ultralights flying in like a big swarm.
Oh,
just
no,
like you're saying.
No. What Putin wants, he sends the priests, the prophets, and the disarmed, Russian Orthodox families in, and then he sits off to the side with like 2,000 tanks and like about 100,000 guys with ultralights, and he just waits. He sits there and waits. Just give me the footage. As soon as they start shooting people or using artillery, that's it. I'm going to roll right to Kiev, and I'll be there in 12 hours. Nothing could stop them outside of thermal nukes.
Is this all about an oil pipeline?
No, this is about the life of Russia. That's what the Russians are waking up.
Why did Kiev fall out from being Russia's capital? And how did that happen? Is that during the separation after the USSR fell?
Right. That's when the Soviet Union actually fell in 91.
And then they made Moscow the capital.
Well, they had already switched it. Kiev was the ancient capital.
Okay.
And then the capital was actually St. Petersburg, which was renamed Stalingrad. And then the capital moved to Moscow. And then the different districts, or the different states. And actually Ukraine is made up of part Hungary, part Bulgaria, part Poland. It's a conglomeration. Excuse me. But,
so he just wants them to be part of Russia. I mean, that's the bottom line. I really don't know what the whole...
What he doesn't want, he doesn't want them to become part of NATO.
Right.
He doesn't want artillery pieces and missile batteries and NATO 200 miles from Moscow, literally at the gates of Moscow. He's freaking. These globalists, they're rolling up all these countries all over the place, and the EU, as far as one big block, he's trying to get his own economic block going, and it's essential that the Ukraine is part of that economic block. And now he's got this hostile. Now we're moving men, advisors, 350 American advisors. They're going to do drills in the Ukraine. They're moving men and equipment, planes all around. And go ahead.
Thank you very much. It's very intellectual. We actually were gaming earlier today. We had a couple of Russians on, and my golly gosh, they really didn't like us. I can say all the swear names because I do know Russian, but yeah, they kicked us off straight away, and yeah, is that because the Americans are moving stuff into the Ukraine or whatnot? Because now, I really don't care about religion on either side, because if religion is meant to be holy and it's meant to respect the person, and they turn it into holy wars, that's not religion. But what they're actually doing at the moment is getting hairy scary. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, but see, Putin's got this trump card. He can go to the patriarchs of the Russian Orthodox Church, or Eastern Orthodox Church, because the Ukraine, the majority of those people it would be like them being Catholic. It would be like Russia, like the Catholics. And there'd be Catholics like in Ukraine. You see what I mean? They got authority in either country. That's the predominant religion. But if Putin plays that religious card with a peace march from Moscow to Kiev, I don't know how those people can counter that at all. You can't take the priest and the prophets, put them in front of a million people, and march for peace, and also for economic. Basically, spend a vacation in Kiev, sending 1 million Russians in there peacefully.
We can't even do that here, though, man. We can't even get representation of religious groups here in protest. I mean, and the Russians, they are some roughnecks over there, after the fall. They're hardcore. I mean, you want to watch some fight videos of anybody in Europe, the most hardcore ones are constantly coming out of Russia. Bunch of drunks fighting all the time, and I just can't see the support of some religious movement.
Oh, no, they got it. No, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. People think the Russians is a bunch of vodka drinking drunks that like to fight. Yeah, they like to fight, but these people came out of 80 years of Zionist communism. I mean, just guess how many soldiers they lost just in World War II. They lost, and they call it the Great Patriotic War. They lost 31 million men. What did we lose? 500,000? We think we lost more. No. That tremendous amount of loss.
Give it a few years. Wikipedia will update those numbers.
And then the Zionists, the Jewish Zionists, which they call the Bolsheviks, once they took over with Lenin and Stalin, they went on just a killing spree, and they killed 65 million white Orthodox Russian Christians. Burnt churches. I mean, these people, you're looking at the genetics of people who came out of just hell on earth. So, no wonder they threw us off. By the way, Austin Paul, it's not only the Russians that hate the Americans. We're hated all over the world. Ask any American tourist that goes anywhere in the world. They always go, no, I'm from Canada, They don't admit that we're Americans because we're so hated now. They trashed our name. Go ahead.
So, Hijacker, what in terms of the relationship between the US and Russia, how do you think that stands now? Because there was once a good relationship between, especially when Gorbachev was in power and Reagan, and there was, they'd built a certain kind of relationship with Russia and after the end of the Cold War. I mean, what's going to be the impact of that now? I mean, they've just thrown that all away now, the current administration.
Well, these globalists, they're in a fight for their life. Their system is coming down. They do got a problem with the money. It's coming up in this fall. There's going to be some kind of economic crash, reset. Everybody's starting to lay off. This is the hot time of the economy. And so they're taking a look at Russia. Russia's getting on their feet. They got all that oil and gas. And they're starting to get, like the average job in Russia, I think, is like $18,000 or $19,000, comparatively to the U.S. So that's pretty good middle class over there. It might not be a lot of money for, like my kids, but for their economy, they're doing pretty daggone good, and they got 12. Go ahead.
Do you think the sanctions are going to have much of an impact?
Well, I think it is. A lot of people say no, but the world's already backfiring. In fact, the last phone call between President Obama and the great and mighty King of Mother Russia, Vladimir Putin. Putin brought it up. He goes, look, you put sanctions against us, and it's hurting your markets. You lose 300 points one day, 100 points another day. Right. Now today it came up like 40, 50, 60 points or something. But no, we want their stuff. These globalists, they're psychotic. We have literally criminally insane.
If we all made the biggest sacrifice in the world, which this is sad, but I think the biggest sacrifice that we can do to make absolute change is if we went out to the streets and everybody burned every dollar that they had, every piece of currency, just in protest. They'd have to reset everything. They'd have to. That's the only way. That's the only way. Nobody's going to do it.
Yeah, I know, but we don't want an economic collapse. They already know that just like within 30 days, let's say the dollar is like worth 10 cents on the dollar.
They still won't. They'll hoard it for toilet paper.
Well, what I'm saying is that there's going to be a lot of people that die really pretty quick. I mean, everything is so complex now and interconnected that any tripwire that ends up, any tripwire that springs, it's over.
Are you going to help your neighbors when everything goes dire? Like, it's what I was thinking. You don't want people to know that you have any goods, rice or beans or anything like that, right? Outright. But I figured if you really still want to help your community, if the crap hits the fan, you can go out like maybe in the middle of the night or really early morning and just like a ninja drop little sacks on people's front doors and like from Anonymous That Cares or something, you know what I mean? And we could start building, I don't know, we could start doing stuff like that now. Just anonymously dropping help on people we know are hurting.
No, Steve, it's easy. You get the grass clippings, you turn it into really, really great stuff like organic fertilizers and stuff like that, and then you put seeds in there, and you spread in little buckets, and when the little kids go across, they eat the stuff.
Right, that's how I grew up.
That's how we all grew up. We had
grandparents
berries,
with fruit trees, vegetables.
Yeah, exactly. You plant the odd fruit tree in the nature strip and this and that, and once it matures, you'll see the kids rate it and the bees and everything else return, and it's a harmonious idea.
Yeah. Legalization of the best growing plant in the world, hemp, would be a good start. for almost every angle, energy to economics to new jobs to stronger frickin' cars as far as protection goes in accidents.
Yeah, plastics to fuels
Everything.
to everything.
Yeah, to your health even, like the good oils that you can ingest
Hemp
to
seeds,
kill cancer.
Exactly. Yep, that's horrible.
Let's start there then. Let's do Hawk's little thing. You take an ice tray, you fill it with water, right? And you drop a hemp seed in every one or two in every ice tray, freeze them up, and then you just drive down the road and start throwing those ice cubes everywhere. We'll do the Johnny Hemp Seed.
Yeah, but the problem about that is it looks like marijuana. Marijuana has THC in it, and we all know that's too much beneficial. Even the Queen has marijuana back in the day. It was all legal. It had only become illegal back in the early 80s.
See,
right?
we need something that binds the entire world, because obviously freedom isn't working. We can't come together over freedom. We need something else. I mean, it might be kind of low to say, something that's going to get you high, but you know what, man? I look at it like flower children of Vietnam.
No, but we're talking about hemp rope. We're talking about hemp products.
Right. No,
I
don't mind the THC either.
Plant. I'm sorry, I've got to answer the phone.
Get your phone, man. It's important. Angela, you've been quiet. What's your feeling on starting a hemp revolution to change all this?
Well, there's a multi-level marketing company that claims to be starting the hemp revolution, etc. It's multi-level marketing though, so it's still capitalism at its best. But it is interesting because it was actually law that if you had land and you were growing things that if you were a farmer when this country started, etc., that you were required to grow a certain amount of hemp, I believe, or you were welcomed, or it was suggested. That
you were required. They'd arrest you if you didn't.
Yeah, so it's very odd, to watch, time and government change things. I don't know, I mean, it's just such a great plant, et cetera. There are so many wonderful, benefits to hemp, to marijuana, to THC, all of the combined above, et cetera, that, it's almost too simple.
That's the beauty of it, though. It grows in every.
No, I agree. I'm just saying. Oh,
well, I've hold on one second. I've got a good song. I got a good song to introduce all this. Children of the hemp revolution, we are children. How's that one? But yeah,
I thought you were going to start singing some Cypress Hill, but that's cool.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Hemp all the way around. Hemp for everyone. Free hemp for everyone.
Hey, even Monsanto, they can get their little dirty claws into it if they made it, but they probably already are through all these distributors, They're probably already, hey, use our seed to, different growers and stuff. I wouldn't doubt if the GMO's already been infiltrated into the medical marijuana industry.
Wow. It's almost a given, really.
That's what I'm saying, though. It's opportunity for everybody.
Yeah. Yay.
I think Guatemala, somewhere like that, the other day is putting out tenders for farmers to legally grow cannabis.
You said Guatemala?
Might be, I can't remember.
That's
now.
where they're sending a lot of these illegal immigrants into our country from. So I wonder if there's a tie there somehow, some way. That's weird. Okay. But yeah,
anyway.
I read an article on Walmart's now. This is another thing I projected a while back, pre-collapse, probably 2007. I was watching a lot of these super Walmarts and super Kmarts and stuff close, right? So you got all this square footage of all these closed buildings. And I was like, and that's when all the FEMA camp stuff started getting real hot on the web. And I thought about it. I go, wow, that would be perfect for, entertainment and for, entering into a system, putting people basically a location to handle frickin' a bunch of people, say prisoners or refugees like they're calling them now. And I just read an article. They are using abandoned Walmarts now to house these illegal immigrants. So another profit.
Shame they can't be used to train the resistance. Who's the resistance now? Though we've got Yeah, we need some movements get going, you know, the resistance, like in France it was the resistance for the revolution. Yeah, and now you got militia, I suppose. Yeah, the equivalent would be militia over there. Who's at the door?
It's me.
It's like it is RedShifty. How's it going, Casey?
It's going, man. I said I'd be here, and lo and behold, I made it.
Hey there, Shifty. How are you? Long time no see.
Oh, for real. Yeah. Wow, Angela.
Yeah, I'm alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time, Angela. I've heard you.
Yeah.
You took some
back
time.
early.
Yeah, are you going to come back to World Horizons?
Well, no, not Event Horizon. Oh, is that what she calls it? I think Dr. Robin Felkoff. I think it's Event Horizons, but no, not right now. I may do a show. I'm kind of starting to do this show with Rectify, you know, just on these Tuesday mornings, but I'm not really certain of when I will return and for how often on the station. But I will be doing something in the near future. I'm kind of ready again. Like I took a break, and you know, I'm famous for that. I do need my breaks. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
anyway.
no.
I'm just famous for being unreliable.
So, what a trip. You know, I'm talking to a couple people on the side as you're doing the show here and making all these comments, et cetera, about the Walmart, et cetera. So, interestingly, my friend is saying the scans at Walmart can be used to check your Obama healthcare account. Please put your hand under the scan light, etc. So just another, you know, Walmart's just popping up in the stream of consciousness right now. That's really interesting because I don't even know if she's listening to the show. So that's pretty weird, you know, just bringing up Walmart. And wow, you know, yeah, detaining refugees, is that what we're using abandoned Walmarts for now? Is that what you're saying? Yes?
Potentially, I think you're saying, yeah.
Were you saying potentially, Rectify?
Like housing them, I think. You know, someplace to go, get a bed.
Yeah.
So Idiocracy ended up with Costco overtaking an entire...
Carl Jr. in Costco. I'm sorry, I was out away from the mic. I've got like 30 or 40 open bleeders on my arm all of a sudden. And this is
welcome to
tripping me out.
Costco. I love you.
Oh, man. Yeah, welcome to Costco. I love you.
Yeah. Get your law degree there.
Oh, my God. No, seriously, I'm tripping out because this Ebola thing, and now...
Oh, no, it's not Ebola.
No, literally. I wish I could show you all this right now. I'm talking about
radiation.
7 inches by 2 inches of my arm, at least 40 different... Like, my pores are all bleeding.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Just now?
Just now. Wow, dude. We're in trouble, people. They're not going to tell us we're in trouble until you look at yourself and go, damn, this isn't normal. And they're going to say, oh, it was this, it was that, it was you, it's you, it's you. And you don't have enough money, so you're screwed, you're screwed, you're screwed.
Well, when enough of us say we're not going to take it anymore, then things will start changing.
Man.
I can't go back in time.
I'm losing hope. I hate to say it. I really am. I'm like, what's that song called Losing Faith? Real popular song. I think it was in...
Yeah, but I mean, we all know that we're going to die one day. This is something we all know.
Right. Life is a sexually transmitted disease that always ends in death. Period.
Well, I mean, but what I'm saying is that you know, so if you know you're going to die and nobody really knows when they're going to die. In fact, most people die when they don't know it. Very few people, you know, get old. Yeah, they get old and, okay, I got a week left, 3 days left. Usually doesn't happen like that.
Usually, yeah, it comes out of nowhere.
Well, you know, I think it's better to go out with a bang and be, you know, if you are a kind of activist orientated, then I think it's best to go out with dying for something that you believe in, to fighting for something you believe in, and paving the way for others.
Well, if they hit the American population with Ebola, you're going to see a psychotic society.
Well, Ebola is not transmissible throughout like the zones of temperature in the United States. I mean, it only incubates, at a certain subtropical environment. I mean, it just won't infect the entire country. I mean, they could, if they wanted to, spread it around, the warmer, wetter areas, but it wouldn't overtake the colder, drier ones.
They could do any number of things. I mean, if they really were going to use it as a bioweapon, they could just go in a grocery store. I mean, we got so many places where we could get hit.
Well, hemorrhagic fever is something it has a very specific life set of circumstances that must abide in. Otherwise, it would be a major problem all the time. Otherwise, instead of just popping up from here and there.
Can I actually interject on this type of conversation? People who move in their environment and then, like, say, well, us Australians are very, very well vote on this one. We're almost everywhere, at least somebody somewhere. But the best thing about it is, where you actually live and the environment that you grow up with and that you live through, it takes about 7 years of change to actually go into a different environment and to adapt correctly.
As a person.
Well,
a virus doesn't exactly...
No, in the environment that you're actually living in. Like, say...
if you change environments.
Yeah, if I grabbed your family and put you into the middle of Australia, you'd be really, really bad for the first 3 to 4 years. But then, after the next 3 or 4 years, you'd actually adapt to it. And that's what I'm saying. Now, we're all on the same little marble. Why can't we all adapt around all each other? Because, the people actually rule, not our politics. And that's what I'd like to a nice thing to say about the people, not the politics. Because the US people and all the Americas are fantastic. All Europe's fantastic. And, hey, even us Asians.
Well, the Ebola that Red was talking about, it has an incubation period of 17 days. And that's
no. Well, you poor buggers are silly for bringing them home.
I agree.
No.
Stupid.
That was just totally stupid, and that's totally for warfare. That's going to be your next big one, Hijacker.
Zombie apocalypse.
Make sure they toast the plane. Make sure they toast everything that has been around these.
Incinerate it, yeah.
Yeah,
no, I mean
the
guy was barely quarantined. I mean, they made an entire news opportunity out of it, like him going to from the ambulance.
Anybody that's come close to him, quarantine.
Right.
Otherwise, I was laughing my head off, saying, "Why the hell are you doing that? You've just brought in a total foreign thing that you have not got any defences for at all."
They're so desperate just for research material.
And honestly,
really.
Honestly, I don't want to fly anymore. Last year I was thinking about not flying, but now I actually say I would not fly anymore because...
So, could somebody clarify for me what exactly... I've heard about these 17 people.
Okay, now the Ebola, what it does...
I know all about Ebola.
It turns the white cells into a boiling point, and it turns the red cells to popping. And the red cells and the white cells bleach through all the veins because it destroys you from inside out.
Yeah,
it takes about... But the quicker one back in the day took about 2-3 days. But it didn't spread enough. But then our silly chemists got involved, and and now it's really, really rampant, and like AIDS, the immunodeficient disorder.
Oh no, way worse than that. I mean, it's
Mate,
quick and
At least AIDS is treatable, man.
Well, that's right.
AIDS is a syndrome. AIDS isn't even.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. HIV does. AIDS is a bunch of BS.
Well, at the moment, yes.
It's a set of symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
But what exactly, I'm sorry, this is, obviously known. These 17 people, what exactly is the deal with them? Where were they? Did they come back from where? How long had they been diagnosed? Where did they take them?
Red, what do you mean 17? We're up to 17 now?
I thought there was only 2 coming out of Africa.
I don't know, I just heard 17 a minute.
2 Americans coming out of Africa home, and they didn't live the way home.
They didn't?
Oh,
No,
really? So they were that bad off?
No, so
They were
now
in that late
the
stages.
Americans have got the virus that's untapped.
They did that on purpose. You know how hard
Paul, you're saying that they died on the plane? They didn't even make it here?
Well, no, I don't know if they made it there, but they didn't make it after they were there.
Well, they're dead now, is what you're saying.
Yes.
One's due. I'm looking at the Wall Street Journal right now, 10 minutes ago.
Thank you.
Our news told us.
Let Angela finish. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Wall Street Journal. This article came out 10 minutes ago. It looks like. It said 10 minutes ago, but it's showing 8:27 p.m. Eastern time. Anyway, in Atlanta, 2 Americans infected with Ebola in Liberia, one in a hospital here and another set to arrive Tuesday, which it's now Tuesday, were treated in that West African country with an experimental drug not yet evaluated for safety in humans. So, I don't know. One's due to arrive tomorrow.
We might even have a mutation now. They gave them this experimental drug over there and then brought them over here.
Our news is biased.
Everyone's news is biased.
No, I know. It's funny.
To get their hands on this original Ebola stuff, the Ebola virus capsules and whatnot. I mean, it was a big deal back in the 60s when they first came up with it. To even be able to get samples of it.
But there's 2 different strains of Ebola. That's what you got to understand.
Yeah, there's the Zaire. There's Zaire and Sudan, right?
In terms, we say the ones that's been handed by
Zaire,
not, or the ones that have been projected into Spitalim. Yeah.
Well, the Zaire kills, I think, 75% or greater, whereas the I think I read like 3
The other
books.
one starts at like 40%. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what's worse than that, though, is I can't remember the name of it right now. It's the other hemorrhagic fever from the area. It's got a German name.
It's all from eating rare monkey burgers, too.
No, it's not, actually.
Well, that's what the article I read earlier said.
Well, it's, I mean, they've gone several times to try. There's like a single cave in Zaire that somehow like every person, like all of the major outbreaks that have occurred have started with this patient 0 that has had some contact with this cave that's in Zaire. They've gone and tried to pin it down as to what it is or, exactly what's carrying it, to keep it alive outside of humans. But,
so patient X brought us AIDS, and now we have patient 0 that brought us Ebola.
Right. Ebola is actually named after the Ebola River, in Zaire. That's where it gets its name. But, Africa, it's spreading all over the place. I mean, they got I think they're up to over 2,000 cases now. All these healthcare workers and doctors, you're talking a couple of dozen have died. And if it's
they shut roads down. They shut down roads. They blockade villages. They self quarantine at this point. I mean, hemorrhagic fever ain't no joke. I mean, yellow fever in China also not no joke. But I guess the death rate doesn't quite hit 70%, so you don't hear about it as much. And I guess we're not doing as much war in Asia. So
well, if this thing does get going, and this is what Obama's opened himself up to, basically, if this Ebola gets going in this country, we get too many more cases. I think the military is going to just. I think we're looking at a coup. I really do. I just don't see. That's the only one that could actually keep control or pretend or try to keep control would be the military, and basically, deputizing the law enforcement into the military to be able to hold some kind of stability in this country. I mean, it's getting to the point. This thing spreads, man. We're going to go nuts. We're going to go nuts.
It doesn't spread like that, though. I mean, it literally has to spread like you have to have the erupted, the virus, erupts with its seed, I suppose, and it has to be, sprayed out into the air and either breathed in or, touched into somebody else's bloodstream. It's not just airborne. I think they've had an instance where they believe that they've indicated it can be airborne in a group of monkeys they had stored in questionable conditions.
Again, I just want to interrupt and go back to this, this idea, which is covert op in a hypnotized world. Again, I'm going back to John Rappaport here, basically, getting everybody to go ahead and start, living in this fear, based mentality.
Ebola,
Ebola, and yes, if the scenario is correct, which, we don't really know. We just know what we're being told, and then our brains are, on fire, and we've got like collective consciousness, hysteria, whatever, that whole thing. But it's really to cover up what's really going on the planet. I mean, yes, no, maybe, if and when, then yes, there could be a huge outbreak. But is there really such a thing going on? That it's that spreadable, that it's that contagious, that we are going to be militarized shortly. I think it's just more or less, a way to hypnotise the public into believing, so that we aren't, focusing on, what's really going on in the planet,
it's the
war.
money, Angela. It's the money. Angela, it's the money.
Get your Ebola vaccine.
That's what this is all about. That's why they keep doing stuff in Syria. I mean, they hit us with a psychotic fear thing after another, because they know they're getting the money is about to crash, and when this economic collapse happens, they want to have some cover. Blame it on Ebola, blame it on the Russians, blame it on the Middle East, blame it on terrorists.
I don't think they're worried about blaming it on anybody. I think they're just worried about being where they're, at their
they will have a cover story.
Positions. Well, I don't think they're going to be concerned about it. I think they're going to just herd people into, containable areas.
Walmart.
Walmart, Costco, yeah, exactly. As shopping malls, sports arenas. Underground bases, hell, anywhere. Just keep them out of the whatever safe zones.
It's kind of like a zombie effect. Also, that's another thing. I had somebody, that I haven't seen her yet join the conversation. I don't know if she's ready to do that. A good friend of mine, but she basically said that Ebola can mimic a zombie, and in some zombie movie, it started in Atlanta near the 33rd parallel, which is interesting. Anyway, and let me just jump back to rectify. How is your arm? Like, what the heck, man? What's going on with your arm?
Yeah, I sent you a cell phone picture.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
I just looked at my arm, and I guess I was itching it, but it busted open probably 40 different bleeders. So I've got these huge Band-Aids now. My wife came and put on me and put some antibiotics on them. But yeah, it's like, wow, man. It might be associated with my diagnostics that I got recently. Could be liver related. I wouldn't doubt it. But yeah, stay away from the alcohol, kids. It's really bad. Once you get deep enough, it's really hard to turn around. And
well, before you get off the air, Rectify, let's hope and pray for some sort of Ukrainian, Russian peace march to Kiev.
March.
And stop. Yeah, peace march. To tie off this war with using the Russian Orthodox Church, and if it's massive enough, then they could get a new government in Kiev, and then they'll broker out a political solution, and we're going to stop this rush to war because we just can't go.
They'll find another one. They'll pick another country.
Yeah, I don't think there's any slowing anything down anymore. It's just speeding up.
Can I actually say one thing? It's happy anniversary for the First World War.
It's not a happy anniversary.
Well, for the start of the First World War.
Yeah.
And you know, the first people who actually shot the first shot was actually us in Melbourne town.
Damn Aussie freaking criminals.
It's a setup, like every other World War incident.
Yeah, it's always a psyop. It's always one person. It's like this. Back in high school, I went to school with a bunch of gangsters, right? Okay, it would be like this. You'd be on like your lunch break or whatever. Everybody's out in the yard, whatever, doing their thing. You got a group of people in a circle, throwing dice or what have you. A rival comes up and we'll just push someone in that circle against someone else in that circle. And because of the mentality, it's like nobody even realized they got pushed into the other person, and the two people that got pushed together start fighting.
Sneakers, man. You scuff my white
Yeah.
sneakers.
Seen it time and time again. It's like, oh, it's that easy?
Yeah.
Now throw in money and funding for weaponry and stuff. Let's weaponize both sides before we push them into each other and watch them go at it. That's how they roll. If there's 10 enemies, they'll control all 10 of them. Pay them all. Give them all weapons. Have them fight each other.
Yeah, and the other thing we have to worry about, and this is what Dr. Bill Deagle says, who is a doctor and a microbiologist. He's a lot of stuff. He says that they actually got mixed flu with rabies, and that they actually have this type of zombie apocalypse type concoction. But what we have to worry about with Ebola is if it mixes with something like the flu. These things can evolve. Am I not right, Red?
Ebola, for some reason I took it upon myself to read like 3 books on Ebola a couple of months ago. And Ebola, it just has such a, it doesn't evolve. It has such a short lifespan and such a short, latency period that it just doesn't have the time to get spread around enough to mix. That's why you have the 2 different strains.
Got a 17-day incubation period.
That's not long enough to mutate and evolve. That's long enough to barely kill somebody.
What I'm saying is it's why that person is. Oh, I see. When somebody can incubate,
it has to respirated or come out of the next person and then somehow mutate with some other something before it gets spread to the next person, which I don't see. Like I said, you got that Zaire strain and you've got that I think it's Sudan, but I can't remember where the other one is. And then the really bad one though, gosh, it's got a German name. I can't remember the name. It was the first hemorrhagic fever they ever,
well, Red, just on the political scale and the sociological scale, why they decided to play the Ebola card right now. The first cases appeared in December. There's been lots of cases in Africa. Why all of a sudden make a point in the mainstream media? Maybe Angela's right. They're just trying to, so scared.
Yeah, get your flu shots, your, Ebola protection kits, your be afraid of everything, don't go anywhere, stay in,
Yeah, but to play this part
You guys, we're almost out of time, and I want to read something I just got. That's kind of important. A lab company called Trekmera, it's Trekmera, was the company to make a vaccine for this guy who they just shipped over from Africa, to Atlanta. George Soros' foundation funds the Kenema Bioweapons Lab. That's Kenema, Kenema, Bioweapons Lab at the focus of the Ebola outbreak, and which is about to be closed, apparently amid an investigation. The World Health Organization media coordinator Glenn Thomas was highly likely involved in fielding media and other inquiries on how the WHO view and what is planned to do about the controversial Kinema lab. So there's something about this Kinema lab, and if anything to do with Soros, man, we got to get into this. Glenn Thomas was one of the victims amongst the 298 killed in Malaysia Airlines MH17. So Glenn Thomas is connected to this study on Ebola out of this frickin' Soros Institute that's under investigation right now. Okay, let me read the rest of this.
Ding. I don't have my bells.
Yeah, we're almost out of time.
No, I was giving you props. Nice.
Well, just to remind you while you're looking at that, there is...
What is interesting is the complete silence of the mainstream media on the closure of the Kinema lab posted on the Sierra Leone Ministry of Health Facebook site. He is, think of the coincidences. Ground zero. The current Ebola epidemic is the Kinema government's hospital in Sierra Leone. Yeah, which houses the U.S. Biosecurity Level 2 Bioweapons Research Lab. The lab is now up for closure pending an investigation. So it's another source. So we need to look into this Kinema and Soros. Kinema lab and Soros. We need to start researching that, everybody.
Okay, and do you have a link for what you're reading now?
I don't. You can get it from your friend you were talking about. She actually dropped it on me.
Oh,
and
great.
It's not a link. She's giving me the actual data.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, she's a good friend. She's a pretty interesting chick. So anyway, maybe next time she'll join us. Who knows?
Yeah, always welcome. Wow.
Yeah, and before we go, everybody pray for the Ukrainian-Russian summer peace march. And we'll put an end to that war. That'll be it. And I know the church will do it. If Putin asks to tell the church, what's that?
They'll pop another one up somewhere.
Well, then at least Russia's going to be out of it. It's dangerous. They got nuclear weapons. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
So you pick on somebody, go back to picking on Syria or something. Don't go picking on somebody who's got nuclear weapons and biological weapons.
Whatever gotta happen. But
one day at a time, guys. That's all we can do. You know, we're all gonna die one day. Let's make the best of it right now.
Yeah, all at the same time on one day.
Keep your heads up. Look to the skies. They want you looking down at your stupid devices.
I'm looking down at my stupid device right now. Yeah. My daughter kicked me out of my computer.
Yeah, we got smart devices and stupid humans now. Go figure. So, yeah, coming down to about the last minute or so of the Gray Zone Roundtable. I wanted to thank Hijacker, of course, Angela Black, the new wing woman, my wingman.
The wing woman.
The wing woman, Ozzy Paul, and Casey, of course, RedShifty.
Thanks, Mark.
And Wally, lad, if you're still out there awake, thanks for calling in, buddy. Always nice to have you on the call.
Yeah, if somebody's got an extra $100 they want to invest in a seed bank, and a CD with 900 survival and how-to documents, Nighthawk's got it at freedomslips.com. That's what keeps us on the station. So, they say the seeds are going to be worth like gold, and if things do transpire, well, we're coming to an economic collapse, so people are going to have to start growing their own food anyways. It's just semantics.
Because Monsanto is making our food not food in the first place.
Yeah.
Just turns food into poison.
Well, after World War II, my grandparents survived on the boat coming to America from Germany on grass soup. So, yeah.
Yeah, you just take a look. Everything's about, the vegetables are like $2 a pound. I mean, there's some vegetables that are, even though to get a pound of beef, it requires 7 pounds of vegetables, or plant life. The vegetables now are getting as expensive as the beef.
Yeah, well, Monsanto's got a giant, complex right down the street from me, and I could see how they've got a lot of labs, a lot of stuff going on down there. They basically bought out a quarter of the town's businesses just for Monsanto employees to use like all non-GMO products in everything that they do to make sure that none of their employees are tainted by any of the practices that they put upon the rest of the population from inside the labs. It's pretty messed up. It's like it's compulsory to not consume GMO if you work for Monsanto.
That's it, guys. Have a good Tuesday. We'll see you next week.
Most fries, that's your cerebral cortex looking for an answer it doesn't have.
See? Even your brain knows you're screwed.
God is filling with adrenaline.